Welcome everyone to this StandOut Speakers Academy workshop today, and we have a super special event lined up for you. We're going to be talking about how you can create the foundations for success, and this is really important because I'm sure you've all heard the story of the person who tried to build a house on poor foundations, and you can build the nicest house in the world, but if the foundations are shoddy, eventually it's going to fall down. Right? And we don't want that. So building foundations that are strong is really important, and it's not something that we're often taught. So we're going to talk about this in the context of public speaking, but also in the context of just our lives in general. And then we have an amazing talk from Simon Gibbons, and Simon is a wonderful person. He's going to be sharing with you some incredible stuff. And then three of you who are tuning in, who are watching live right now, you will get the chance to speak as well. So what we do is we have this special way to choose people for speaking at our events. I'm just going to show you this now. I'll share my screen with you. So we have this wonderful thing called the Wheel of Names, and we can put people's names in here, and then it will pick them at random to see who the speaker is going to be. So after the first break, we will give you a chance to put your name in, and then you can choose if you want to speak or not. There's no pressure if you don't want to, but if you would like to, then you're very, very welcome, and you can speak about anything. Your opportunity. You'll get 5 minutes each to speak about anything that you want. And again, this will be recorded, so you can use this as a tool for you can put it on your social media, you can put it on your YouTube, and maybe inspire thousands, millions of people. Maybe it will go viral, right? Maybe you'll do this 5-minute talk and it will go viral and you'll inspire and change the whole world. Or maybe just 10 people will see it, but one of those people will really have a massive impact on their life. Who knows? Being a public speaker is really fun, but you have to be brave. So I'm really glad you all came today, and I'm going to share something with you that is from my book. So a lot of you know I've written a book. It's called Find Your Truth, and this is a guidebook for how you can get really connected with yourself, how you can get really connected with others, and how you can get really connected with the universe. And public speaking, one of the secrets to being a great public speaker is about connection. And everything is about energy. If you think about your favorite public speakers, who are your favorite public speakers? You can either write in the chat box if you'd like to, or you can unmute yourselves and you can just say their names. Who are some of your favorite public speakers?
Les Brown.
Tony Robbins.
Les Brown, nice, nice.
Can we say ones that are not alive anymore? Jim Rohn.
Of course you can say anything.
Love Jim Rohn.
Nice.
Yeah, I like Jim Rohn as well.
Wonderful.
Comes around often.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why
Speaks
not?
to me.
Nelson Mandela.
Nice. And someone in the chat says Joe Dispenza. Cool. Cool.
I also like Dave Ellman.
Dave Ellman. Okay, cool. So when we start...
Yeah, I think Hitler, yeah? He was a very, very good speaker, yeah?
Nice.
I
like
think
it.
Barack Obama was a good speaker.
Wonderful. Cool. So if you have in mind a powerful speaker that you really resonate with, and you just start to think about them and their qualities and what really makes them a great speaker, what made them a powerful communicator, what do you think that was? And I'm going to just give you a couple of minutes to really think about this deeply. If you have a notepad and you have paper or something, you have something you can write some notes with, or you can just close your eyes and go inside. Just think of one of these speakers or a couple if you're able to, and really feel into what made them a great communicator. Why did you resonate with them so much, or why do you resonate with them so much? Studying great communicators is such a powerful way to learn. Something that not many people really actively do. You probably listened to Tony Robbins 100 times, or Jim Rohn. I know I've listened to Jim Rohn hundreds of times. Have you ever analyzed them to really think about what makes them so great? So I'll give you one more minute just to really feel into that. What makes a really great speaker? When you feel ready to, you can type in the chat if there's something you'd like to type in the chat. If anyone would like to speak and just share what you got, what came up for you, that could be really wonderful too.
They tell great stories. They have great metaphors. They speak from the heart. They speak with emotion.
Wonderful. I agree with all of those things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with them all as well. I also wanted to add, even though they don't know your life personally, they seem to like know what you have been through, because they've kind of like had similar like sort of situations in their life, which connects as well, which I feel.
Yeah, wonderful. They make you feel like they understand you, and they're very relatable. And it's interesting because we can see that as a synchronicity, and I'm a big believer in synchronicities and that the law of attraction brings people together. We can also see it as self-selection, right? You've chosen to watch their video because a part of you resonates with them. And so it's bound to be the case that you're going to have some similarities, right? Because you're self-selecting this. They're not there randomly. You've got a book called The Practical Law of Attraction, Keith. I see that. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. When you can make people feel like you understand them, it's powerful. It's powerful. Great. And one more person. Would anyone else like to vocalize anything?
They're engaging. They include you in the talk. Don't just speak at you.
Yeah.
Their mental strength.
Nice.
They speak with clarity and pace themselves. They breathe when they speak. It's not a rush thing. It's. I mean, I know they rehearsed it, but there's a. Well, I mean, I agree to what that guy was saying about with emotion, and there's passionate about what they're saying.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. This has been a big part of my life, analyzing the most successful people in the world. This is what I do. I just love it. I think it's just such a fascinating thing to do. And you learn so much from doing that. It's really invaluable. So why I bring your attention to this particular piece is when anybody is speaking today, whoever it is, whether it's myself or Simon or whichever three of you get chosen, really listen to them, like study them, see what they do, because we all have different styles. And I'm not saying my style is the best style or Simon's style is the best style. Right? We've all got different strengths and we've all got different weaknesses and we've all got different things to work on and different things we've mastered. We run these events every single week, and a lot of you have probably been to a lot of these events. And I would just wonder, how often do you really study the other speakers? How much attention do you really pay when they're speaking? You can really step things up another level by doing this. And so today, I'm going to share with you 4 things you need to build the foundations for success. And you might never have heard me speak about this before. If you haven't been to my spirituality events or my conscious sexuality events, you might not have heard this. I don't often speak about this in relation to public speaking, but I think it's such a vital piece of the puzzle. So really make sure you have an open mind, open heart, and some of this might stretch you. It might be way out of your comfort zone, and you might not agree with all of it, and that's totally okay too. I always say, don't believe anything that I say. Don't believe anything that I say. I'm just going to share my truth with you and what I've learned from 13 plus years of personal development and going on my journey of success and trying to figure out what that even means. But question it. Question everything I say. Try it on as a possibility and then see if it feels good for you. Go do your own research and never blindly follow what anybody tells you. I have a whole chapter in my book called Question Everything. Question everything. I think this is what the world needs more of, is critical thinkers that don't just blindly accept what they're told. And this is what we are, right? We're all here at the StandOut Speakers Academy. We call ourselves the game changers. I believe every single one of you is here because you have some kind of mission, some kind of purpose, and you want to create change in the world. And we can help you do that. And together we can all support each other and make it more fun, because changing the world by yourself is challenging. And someone's saying, can I question that? Of course you can. You can question everything. And these 4 things, these will really make your journey so much more enjoyable. And I believe that's what we're here for. I believe we're here to enjoy this life, which is to live in joy, and that life can be very joyful and doesn't always mean it's going to be sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it's going to be shadows and thunderstorms. And that's a part of the beauty of this tapestry that we live in. If everything was just light, then light would have no context. But there are some things that you can do to make sure you have these really solid foundations so that whatever happens, you don't get rocked. And if you think about nature, I love studying nature, just the same way I study speakers. I love studying nature. Think about nature. Nature's always shifting and changing, and change is one of the only things in the world that's constant, right? Everything's always changing, every second, every minute, every moment. And nature balances itself really well. It comes back into equilibrium. It uses things like storms. And when there's a big storm, you can't tell nature to stop, right? The feminine energy, this creation energy, is also the destruction energy. It creates and destroys, and you cannot tell a tsunami to stop, right? You cannot stop a thunderstorm. You have to just let it ride itself out. But what happens is things that have really solid foundations. Think about trees, right? They have really solid, deep roots. The storm can come and they're absolutely fine. If it's a very intense storm, you'll see the older trees that are more rigid, they might break. But the trees that are more flexible, think like a palm tree. They're very flexible. They can go with the storm. They're absolutely fine. And so this is the kind of analogy I like to think about when I'm thinking about foundations, is building these deep roots like a tree. And so then we can build our trunk, right, which is the core, our core. And then just like you talked about your rose bushes, Z, right? And obviously when they're healthy, every year they blossom. You get the fruits, you get the flowers, you get the wins, the successes, and that's what we're like. I'm just reading this amazing book at the moment. Oh, where is this book? It's an amazing book. It's called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And in this book, it was written in 1918 or something like that, 1908 maybe, long time ago, relatively speaking. And they go and visit these masters in Asia who live to be 500 years old. And there's documentation that these people live to be 500 years old. And they say, well, what's your secret? They said, I'm like a tree. And there are trees that live to be thousands of years old. And the trees never age. They never get older and die. They always blossom. Every year they flower again and again and again, even after thousands of years. And every year they grow, and every year they get new branches, and they get new flowers, and they get new leaves. And he says this is what people should be like if we allow ourselves to. Aging is just a concept that we've allowed and that we've socially accepted, but it doesn't have to be our truth. Can you imagine if you didn't have to age, if you were like one of those trees? Do you believe that's possible? I absolutely do believe that's possible. And people have done it. So many. I have another book. I have many, many books. I have another book where it talks about people in Tibet who live to be 200 years old, and that's kind of the average age in some of those villages. And so stuff like this, it helps me to understand, okay, what do these people do? It comes down to these 4 things. And this is relevant whether you're a public speaker, whether you just want to be healthier, whether you want to just be happier in your family, in your work. So let's get into this. I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to share a whiteboard. Just give me a thumbs up if this, if you can see this whiteboard. Give me a thumbs up. You see the whiteboard. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm going to draw something I've never drawn before. I'm going to try my best to make this wonderful. I'm getting really good at this whiteboard thing. I've been doing so many trainings on Zoom since the lockdown. I just knew before I even tried that I would be able to draw this. Just knew it. All right, wonderful. So we're going to talk about these 4 things. So the first thing that you need, if you want a strong foundation, is you really need to work on what I call your physical self. So you need to work on your physical. Being a public speaker, you have to have a lot of energy. If you come on stage and you're low energy, you're low vibe, right? People are very unlikely to work with you. They're very likely to say, wow, I'm so inspired by you. Think about Tony Robbins. If you've ever been to UPW, it's 13 hours a day, right? And he's in his 60s now, and he still does those incredible high intensity events. Like, how much energy do you think Tony Robbins needs? It's a lot, right? So what does he do? Well, he makes sure he takes care of his physical self. Have you seen the I'm Not Your Guru documentary? Has anyone seen that on Netflix?
Yes.
So you've seen on the I'm Not Your Guru documentary, he has this like ice bath plunge pool, which goes down to -3 degrees. And he jumps in that every day. First thing in the morning when he wakes up, he goes and jumps in an ice bath, colder than ice, -3, right? And it resets his nervous system for the day. What else does he do? He has a trampoline, a rebounder. He's always working out.
Meditates.
Keeps himself very physically strong. He does meditation. He does breath work. He makes sure he, at his events, he talks about how he doesn't eat meat and how he avoids dairy. And he gives people this challenge to eat healthy, alive foods. Because he knows that that's been a vital part of his success. And honestly, I can teach you all the public speaking strategies in the world, but if you can't turn up and deliver your talk with high energy, then there's absolutely no point. If you're aching and you're ill and you're full of dis-ease, it's going to be really hard for you to really shine as brightly as you can. And you'll be amazed at what is possible for the human when you believe. People can live to be 500 years old and still be fit, active. What is possible for you? And there are stories of people who instantly heal themselves from all sorts of dis-ease. And there's an amazing speaker I love, which is called Esther Hicks. And Jana, I can see you wrote down about Esther over here. And Esther Hicks channels this consciousness called Abraham. And Abraham says that we can heal ourselves from anything. And someone in the audience, because Esther Hicks is a huge speaker. Someone in the audience says, well, what about if I chop off my arm? Can it regenerate? And Abraham says, yes, absolutely. They say, well, why don't people do that then? And Abraham said, well, nobody believes that they can. No one believes that they can. But if we believe you can, you will be surprised at how powerful you are. So I want you just to think about your physical self right now. And I want you to just write down for me. You don't have to do this publicly. I want you to write down a score out of 10, how you score yourself out of 10. 10 being you are absolutely healthy, really optimal, you are strong, you have loads of energy, and you're really living your best life in terms of your physical side of things. And a 1 is being you're really not in a great space right now, and there's a lot of work you need to do on your physical self. Where would you rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? And there's no right or wrong here. I'm not going to ask you to share this. This is just for you.
In energy,
In your physical health. Yeah. Yeah. So just write that number down.
7.
Wonderful. You don't have to share. It's quite a personal thing, but thank you for sharing. And
I'm not. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't mind.
That's good. That's good. Wonderful. So as we go through the others, we're going to score these and we're going to see about this. So just some top tips on physical for those of you who realize this is an area for you to focus on. And again, this is just my experience. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. I used to drink coffee, 5 or 6 cups of coffee every day. Steak used to be my favorite food, and I used to be addicted to ice cream. I then became spiritually aware. I had a big awakening, and I realized I was killing myself. I was only 27 years old. I was overweight by 4 stone. So I was 4 stone heavier than this. And even though I was strong, because I went to the gym, I was really unfit. And I was repulsive. I wasn't attracting the right kind of people, because I was only attracting other people that were unhealthy. Healthy people didn't really want to be around me so much. Because why would a healthy person want to spend time around loads of unhealthy people? If you're super high energy and I'm really focused and health is a high value for you, you probably can spend time around unhealthy people, but they're probably not your people. And that's not to mention or to necessarily discount things that are long-term conditions. But again, what can't you cure if you believe it? And that might seem insensitive, but I have a friend. He's a very powerful healer, and someone came to him. They had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, inoperable. They were told they were going to die. He started working with this person, and within 7 weeks, this person was completely cancer-free. No operations, no surgery, just energy work. Completely cancer-free. 7 weeks. Anything is really possible for you. So some top tips. Firstly, belief. You have to believe. Keith, who's on the call here, Keith's an amazing hypnotherapist. If you need any assistance with your belief, please do get in touch with Keith. I can testify he's helped me with some stuff, and you can absolutely heal. Find someone who can help you. If you don't believe, find someone who believes enough for both of you. Right? That's a really key thing. And they exist. I'm one of them. Right? I do energy work with my clients. I help them with physical things, emotional things, childhood wounds, abuse, anything. Obviously fear, any low vibration energies. Some crazy stuff can shift when you really work on this. So that's one tip. Second tip, be really conscious of every single thing that you put into your body and onto your body. I used to use just cheap shower gel, cheap shampoo. And then I found out that as soon as you put something on your skin, it gets absorbed into your body. Just after a few seconds, it's absorbed into your body. It becomes a part of you. Any poisonous chemicals you put on your body, which is what shower gel is, most of it, and shampoo, goes straight into your body. And then your body has to detoxify that stuff, and it builds up. And the foods that we eat are absolutely insane. The amount of chemicals that were in the foods I were eating was just absolutely bonkers. And I was drinking so much alcohol and fizzy drinks and eating so much unhealthy processed foods. And then I became conscious of what I was doing. And now I am completely plant-based. I couldn't even imagine eating steak. It makes me feel sick because I know how low vibe it is, how low vibration the energy of it is, of the food. I couldn't even imagine eating dairy. It couldn't tempt me with it because it's just poison. And I don't drink alcohol. And some people criticized me when I first did this, made this switch. They said, you're going to die. You're going to turn into a skeleton. You have to eat meat. And obviously we know now, and it's been proven, that that is nonsense, and people can thrive. Every person can thrive on a plant-based diet. And it's not to say you have to go fully plant-based, but just become more conscious. Start to eat more for nutrition rather than just for pleasure. Still eat for pleasure sometimes, but have balance. And I would really suggest, if you do drink coffee, knock that one on the head. Caffeine has crazy effects on our body. Puts us into fight or flight mode, which then makes it very difficult for our body to regenerate itself. Releases adrenaline, and so our bodies are constantly having to process adrenaline, and we get adrenal fatigue, which is really, really common. And I see speakers backstage just before they go on stage drinking these big things of coffee, right, that they've just got from Starbucks or something. And caffeine also dehydrates you. It's a diuretic, and it dries out your vocal cords. And I can feel them when they go on stage. They're like caffeine boosted up with this effect on their vocal cords. So before you go on stage, definitely do not drink coffee. Would be my another top tip. And I guess the last thing about physical, which will really help you be successful in your life, is incorporate some kind of regular movement, whatever that is. If it's dancing, if it's running, if it's swimming, if it's weightlifting, boxing, whatever you love to do, whatever is exciting. Hiking, I love going hiking. Incorporate some movement in your daily routine. And I have a thing which is to get out of breath once every day. So every day I try to do one thing that makes me out of breath. And by out of breath, that means pushing the levels of my stamina. So it could just be to run up and down the stairs as many times as I can until I get out of breath.
Cool.
Could be to just do as many push-ups as I can, or walk, do a power walk, or use my skipping rope, whatever your thing is. Every day, get out of breath, and you'll see you'll grow, you'll get so fit so fast. We have some comments in the side. I'd love to know if this is interesting and useful for everyone as well. This is something that is just so essential. I eat lentils every day, and since lockdown I started eating chocolate bars. Do you know what? I just had a call with someone. Thank you for sharing that. I just had a call. I'm part of this men's mastermind group, and one of the guys, he's a super powerful coach, and he says the only thing that I do that I don't like about myself is, he says, when I'm feeling in a low mood, I always have a chocolate bar every day. It's pretty much every day I have a chocolate bar. So there's something going round about it. And he also said he doesn't actually enjoy it. Right? He doesn't enjoy it. It just makes him feel bad. Wonderful. Simon says, I run nearly every day. And Keith says, I love to drink freshly blitzed ginger root and orange smoothies before talking. Yeah, nice. Nice. Herbal teas are really good before you talk. Wonderful. So let's move on. Let me share my screen with you. And this is a real whistle-stop tour. I do have actually a whole 2-hour deep training where I talk about all of this stuff. If anyone's interested in that, I can pop that in the comments on the break, and then you can watch it at a later date. I just want to give you the absolute best bits that I can right now. So that's the physical side. You need that high energy if you want to be a speaker. But what you also need is you must work on your mental self. You must be mentally strong. If you're not mentally strong, it's going to be really difficult for you to succeed as a public speaker. Being a public speaker is one of the hardest, deepest personal development journeys you can possibly go on. If you imagine having to stand on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people and tell them your truth, speak from your heart, share your vulnerability, right? You're going to get a lot of people telling you you're crazy, calling you names, saying that you're the worst person ever. You should see some of the stuff I get when I'm just posting my truth. Just for example, when I share my journey about stopping eating meat, people literally deleted me from their friends list. They told me I was brainwashed, that I was an idiot, right? That I did like, these things. And that's just a tiny thing, right? Going and switching it and eating healthy. All I was doing was eating healthier foods. That was it. That was absolutely it. And so you have to brace yourself for this. So you have to be mentally strong. But as well, it's not just that. If you can imagine having millions of followers, who would like to get millions of followers one day? Inspire millions of people. Who would like to inspire millions?
Here.
Yeah, nice, nice. Everything is energy, right? And so those millions of people are going to be thinking about you. That is millions of, and when people think about you, don't you know it, right? Don't you just get that sense sometimes? And you call that person and they go, wow, I was just thinking of you. How did you know to call me, right? And you just know. Imagine when you've got millions of people sending you that mental energy. How many people do you think about Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins every day? So many, right? So many.
Yes.
That's a lot of mental energy directed your way. And oftentimes what can happen if you're not mentally strong, if you don't work on this, is you can get very confused and you can start to pick up other people's stuff. I one time I walked onto public transport. This was before I had my awakening. And there was a guy who was sat on the bus with a backpack, and I could feel like this sensation of someone saying they were scared that there was a bomb in his backpack. And I just knew it wasn't me. Like, it wasn't my thought. Someone else was projecting their thoughts into my mental space. And now I know, because I've researched it and I've studied it, that this happens all the time. People project their thoughts onto you. So imagine you are in a room, you post a video, it gets 1 million views, right? And you're talking about your thing. What's your thing? Someone tell me what your mission is that you're changing the world with. What's your mission? What are you here to do?
Help people to improve their communications.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you make this video, 1 million people see it, and you're talking about your communication tips. Do you think every single person that watches it is going to like those tips?
No.
No, absolutely not, right? I've seen on YouTube, they have the likes and the dislikes, you know, the thumbs up and the thumbs down.
Yeah.
You watch like a video of a little kid singing, right? Something really sweet and cute. And it's got 20,000 likes and 5,000 dislikes.
what dislikes a little kid singing? Like, what is happening? You must have seen something like that, right? It's crazy. So imagine now those 1 million people, how many thousands are going to not like you? Let's just say 1% don't like you, okay? So 1%, so what's that? 10,000 people are sending you negative energy, sending you negative thoughts. They're saying, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's absolutely full of shit. Right? Can you feel how this can be overwhelming for some people and why they might be scared to share their truth? Do you know how many people are scared of success? How many people are really scared of becoming a big success? Think about the A-list Hollywood celebrities. Brad Pitt, right? Brad Pitt. I used to have him on my vision board. I had Brad and Angelina on my vision board because I liked their relationship. And everyone fancies Brad Pitt, right? Or so many people do. And so they're sending him all this sexual energy. He has to be able to deal with that. It's a big thing. But then when Brad and Angelina broke up, how many people do you think were sending him negative energy? I took him off my vision board. I took them off my vision board because they weren't a couple I wanted to be like anymore. And me and my wife, we believe in manifestation and visualization, so it's important, right? And so how do you get this mental strength? There's a few things you can really do. First tip, top tip, really important, is you must make time for yourself. I call this me time. You must have me time. You have to carve out some time every day, ideally. I would say at least 1 hour every day for you just to be with you. For you to clear your energy, for you to really get all of those distractions out of your mental space. And this is just basic self-care. Maybe it's to have a bubble bath. Maybe it's to watch your favorite shows. Maybe it's to go for a walk in nature. Maybe it's to read a book. Whatever your thing is that will give you some mental strength and fill you up. Think about these things like a tank. So your mental tank, right? Is it filled up? I know when my mental tank is filled up because I'm very patient and I'm very kind. And I know when my mental tank is running low because I'm just super direct. and I just have no nonsense, right? When my mental tank is low, there's no nonsense. Does anybody else get like that? You know, not just me, right? So, when we're tired, right? When we're tired. So another thing you can do to fill up your mental tank, and this is something that is misunderstood by a lot of people, is have some kind of meditation practice. Have some kind of meditation practice. And meditation is not like sitting under a waterfall for 2 hours like a Buddhist monk going, Om. You can do that, and that is really fun, and I do recommend that. If you do get a chance to go meditate under a waterfall like a Buddhist monk for 2 hours and do Oms, then go for it. It's brilliant. But meditation is so much more than that. Meditation is ultimately, for me, creating space. Getting out of your mind, your monkey mind, and being really present in your body, or really present in general. Some of my favorite meditations I've ever done have been while I've been dancing. And some of my favorite meditations I've ever done have been while I've been completely silent, just in my bedroom.
sat cross-legged for an hour. And some of my favorite meditations have hit me out of nowhere just while I've been walking down the street. And I realized I got to this place of no mind. No mind. There was no resistance. And Abraham Hicks talk about this a lot, this idea of just letting go of the resistance. And everyone join me and just take a couple of nice deep breaths in and out. See how much you can surrender right now. See if you can just drop into your body. Just loosen your jaw. Just see if you can be really relaxed. And now just keep doing that. And every time you breathe in, just feel yourself being more connected. Every time you breathe in, just feel yourself enjoying it even more. See how much joy you can find in your breath. And when you're ready, you can just come back. Meditation is where inspiration comes. Oftentimes, this happens for people when they're in the shower. Does anybody get really good inspiration when they're in the shower? Has anyone had that?
I meditate most of the time in the shower.
Yeah, it's such a great time because your conscious mind is distracted with washing your hair or whatever you're doing. And so you have this beautiful space for ideas to come in. Keith says, I thought meditating while I'm walking was unique to me. It's actually a really wonderful practice that Buddhist monks use a lot, Keith. It's called Zen, Zen walking. You could do a Zen walking meditation. They go to a park and you go find a tree and you just walk in circles around the tree, really feeling your feet on the floor, being super present and breathing deeply. And they do this for hours. Yeah, in the bath. Baths are a wonderful time to fill up your mental tank. Something else that you need to do for your mental health, if you want strong mental foundations, you must have strong boundaries in your life. Boundaries are like the rules of the game. So, for example, I will not tolerate anybody in my life that is dishonest. Honesty is one of my highest values, and I just can't spend time around dishonest people. It's outside of my boundaries. It's physically, mentally, emotionally draining for me, right? To be around those kind of people. I also have a boundary about negativity. I also have a boundary about bullying. If people are bullying or gossiping, I'll always leave the room. I won't make them wrong. I won't even tell them why I'm leaving. I just will not have that in my space. And so an exercise that you can do is to write down a list, and we don't have time to do this now because this is a deep inquiry for you, but I offer you this as a deep inquiry to go and do, maybe in a meditation. Go and list your top 5 or even top 10 highest values. What are the things that are really important to you? So for me, it's things like honesty, kindness, freedom. I can't be around unkind people. If someone's being mean and like to an animal, for example, I find it so difficult. Even just watching my family eat animals to me is a really great unkindness because you had to pay for it to be killed. And so I limit the amount of time I spend around people who eat meat. And it's not because they're bad people, because I used to be that person. It's just that when I watch them abusing an animal like that, it's just painful for me. And so once you have your boundaries, your values in place, and you know what they are, start to put these boundaries in place. Make it really clear what you will and won't tolerate. And you will see you'll just have so much more mental energy and clarity. And then the last thing around the mental side of things I would like to offer you today is to make sure you have a great support network. Make sure you have friends that you can talk to openly and honestly. Honesty is such an important piece of having good mental health. If you have to lie about who you are, if you can't be yourself with the people that you spend the most time with, it's going to be so difficult for you to be happy, right? If you have to pretend or hide, it's going to be so difficult. And so find this circle, and I hope this is the circle. I hope this is one of your circles. Like everyone in here is open-minded. Everyone in here is on a mission to change the world and is on a mission to change themselves. And I think it's just a wonderful group of people to be around. So really work on your environment. Massive, massive piece. I'd love to know in the chat what your takeaways have been so far, or one big takeaway that you've had so far from the first two things that we talked about. You can either write in the chat or you can unmute yourself. What nuggets, or what nugget have you taken away so far?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick. Yeah.
One, to take health a bit more seriously, to just step it up again. Sometimes it slips away, and then just like stepping it up. It's like I used to cut out chocolate completely. I had like months where I didn't eat chocolate at all. Nearly half a year, and now I started eating it again. So I gonna make it a rule that I'm not gonna eat it by telling all of you. I make myself accountable, which is really cool. So that's the last chocolate that I'm eating today.
Nice. Well, I can offer you something else, Nick, actually. This is the same advice I just gave to my friend in the men's circle. Giving something up completely, that does work for some people, but some people find it really hard, really challenging. But you can switch now. There are organic, healthy
that's what I did.
You get organic raw chocolates, right? They're just made from pretty healthy ingredients. There's no sugar, there's no nasties, there's no preservatives, there's no chemicals. You just get raw, really delicious organic chocolates. And when I do want to treat, that's the kind of thing I'll have. I've got some in my cupboard. They're organic, healthy. And so even though you're still having a treat, you're not punishing your body in the same way.
I tell you, sorry, Luke.
Yeah.
The thing is, I have this, since, I don't know if it's lockdown or just me, because I'm like a night owl. I have, eating late is, well, it's not a good thing for the body. That's, when you said what nuggets to take away, it's just being mindful of, because I don't know if that's physical or mental, comes between the two. But it's mindful when I eat. That's the thing. Or because if I eat late, then I have to stay up late. I mean, that's also part of mental strength too, right? Well, I think. And also, when you mentioned about boundaries, I do have, it's, that's something I, no, I think I struggle with that because sometimes, I get bulldozed, but I don't see, it's valuing my point of view and where I'm, the specific comes back. Does that come under boundary?
There's a piece to boundaries. It's a complex subject, and I talk about it a lot. There's a piece to boundaries, which is once you know what your boundaries are, it's like communicating them, because other people have to know what they are, right? And if they don't, then how can they play by the rules of your game? If they don't know the rules, of course they're going to break the rules. It'd be like trying to play a game of football. If you didn't know the rules, you're just going to foul all the time, right? You're never going to be able to play. And so once you know what your boundaries are, Z, then definitely be firm with them. But also you have to appreciate people will make mistakes, they will cross the boundaries, and then you have to have those conversations like, look, when you did this, it made me feel like this, and actually it violated one of my boundaries, which I don't know if I expressed it to you, quite how important this is to me. And I do really value your friendship, and I'd love for us to get even closer together, but it's really important for me that you honor this boundary, because if you do cross it again, then I don't think we're going to be able to spend time together.
Well, that's okay, I see on that point. No, but with the eating late, something, being mindful on that, because it affects how you remember when you're saying when your energy is low, you're direct, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I eat late, well, because I know when I eat okay, I'm okay. But then when I eat late, it's just a bad habit, and it's something I have to. I don't know where the nuggets come in from that, but anyway, I just thought I'd feel okay. I'll stop there. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Nick just did something amazing. I have a water fasting group, which is called Water Fast Challenge. You're very welcome to join it. And Nick just did his first 3-day water fast. So it's 3 days with no food, just water.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it really teaches you about your beliefs and your programs around food. So it could be something interesting for you to explore. I follow something called intermittent fasting. So there's different fasting windows that you can do. Some people do 16-hour fasting windows. So that means they have an 8-hour eating window. So for example, they would only eat from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Outside of that time, they don't eat. That gives their digestive system time to rest. And so you just have to, if you wanted to do that, some people have a 4-hour eating window. So they would only eat from 2 till 6. And I know a lot of people who just have a 1-hour eating window a day. They only eat for 1 hour a day. So they'll eat from 2 till 3, and that's it. 23 hours of fasting every single day. And they're massive. They're like bodybuilders. You can search on YouTube for vegan bodybuilder eats 1 meal a day. You'll see. He doesn't even eat, his meals aren't that big. They're like 1,400 calories. And he thrives. We don't need as much food as we think we do.
True.
Wonderful. Let's move on because we've got a lot more to cover. Just in the comments here, it says to remember to save 1 hour for myself every day. Wonderful. And ceremonial cacao is delicious with a kick. Yeah, cacao can be really wonderful as a drink. It's also a wonderful medicine. Yeah, Nick, do you have something?
There's just one question that I really want to ask. If you have friends who don't uphold your boundaries, how do you cut them out straight away? You kind of communicate your boundaries consistently, and you kind of have to cut them away if they don't obey them.
Yeah, really.
I think I already know the answer.
Really good question. Again, I'll use the analogy of football, but you can make it any game, right? But I'll use the analogy of football.
Yeah.
If you say to your friends, hey, this is the game I would like to play. These are the rules. Would you like to play? They'll say, yes, I will play. Or no, I don't want to play. That doesn't sound fun to me. This is exactly the same thing that will happen. Once you tell your friend your boundaries, you'll be like, if you want to be my friend, these are the rules, right? This is what I'm looking for in my life right now. And if they say, look, I don't think that's what I want to do. Actually, I want to keep eating chocolate and I want to go out and get drunk all the time. And you go, okay, well, I'm really focused on my business right now. So I think we're probably just going to have to spend less time together. And that's totally okay, because as you level up, you're going to attract new, amazing friends, but you have to create space for that. So oftentimes we have to let go of some of our old relationships to welcome in new ones. And that's just a normal part of it. And it can be sad. I had one of my friends, He's a beautiful guy. And we just knew we drifted apart. And I said goodbye to him, and I was crying my eyes out because he was a deep friend, but our paths were just so different. And so we hugged it out. It was really emotional. And off he went on his journey. And then actually a couple of years later, he came back into my life because he'd had a big shift, right? And you never know. You never know. But yeah, you have to communicate your boundaries. Otherwise, you're going to keep just people pleasing and getting your energy drained.
True. Thanks.
Cool. All right, wonderful. Everyone, please, let's do a little energy shift. So I'm just going to invite you just to get nice and comfy on your chair. Nice and comfy in your chair. We're going to raise the energy because we've talked about some really deep concepts. I can see some of you are in your head and you're overthinking things. So we're just going to get a little bit of energy flowing. So I'd just love for you to first just start rolling your shoulders and breathe deeply. And then roll them the other way. So we're going to breathe in and roll them one way. And breathe out and roll them the other way. Nice. Then just have a little shake, a little wiggle, little wiggle. Then start to wiggle your face too. Then I want you to make a really silly noise, whatever your silly noise is for you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now we're back. Now we're back in the zone. Let's go. Are we ready to go deeper?
Yes.
Nice. Let's do this. Okay. Cool. So let's share my screen. Yeah, I'm super excited for my book to come out. It's just in the publishing process at the moment. It's due out really soon. And if anyone's interested, I have a link. You can join the waiting list for it. It's called Find Your Truth. And yeah, it's just everything I've learned in the last 13 years. And just, it's super deep. And when I was actually typing, something cool happened. If you know about channeling, so channeling is where you channel a different level of consciousness to yourself. So like Esther Hicks channels this consciousness called Abraham. So often when I'm speaking, I don't think about what I'm going to say. It just comes out and I just kind of observe myself. And this is a piece in meditation, is just observing, becoming the observer. But when I was writing my book, what would happen is my fingers are just typing. And I don't really know what's happening. I'm just being present, allowing it to come through. And then when I read the stuff back, I'm just like blown away. I'm like, whoa, like this is amazing. And I send it to my friends and I'm like, read this. And they're like, did you write that? I'm like, yeah. They're like, whoa. And so this is available to all of us. We're all able to do this when we are fully present and when we're not trapped in our mind. When we're not trapped in the mind. So let's share the next part of this, foundations for success. So when we're thinking about foundations for success, the third piece that you really need if you want to be really successful is you need to do some deep work around your emotional self. Your emotional pillar needs to be really solid, especially if we're talking about being a public speaker. Wowzers. Being a public speaker is an emotional roller coaster, right? You think about it. You get a speaking gig, you're like, yeah, I'm amazing. Everyone loves me. This is the best. And then someone tells you that you're a fraud and that you're a criminal and that you should be in prison. And you're like, oh, this is awful. Like, what's happening? I'm just trying to help. And then oh, I get a client. Wow, everything's amazing. Okay. Got my first speaking gig. Now I've really made it. And then you run an event and then no people turn up, right? And it's like up, down, up, down, up, down. Your emotional resilience needs to be massive. And if you're not working on this, you're gonna burn yourself out big time. But also emotions are, one way I think about emotions is emotions are energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion. And when I think about that, emotions do give you a lot of energy. Has anyone here ever got really pissed off? Who's got really pissed off before?
Yes,
How much energy do you have when you're really pissed off?
a lot.
Right? Where does it come from? You can be so tired, right? You can be exhausted. And then someone makes you angry and boom, all of a sudden it's like infinite amount of energy, right? And so this is the same when we're in love. When we're in love, how much energy do we have? So much, right? It's
Unlimited.
infinite amounts. And we can tap into this all the time. Emotions are energy in motion. And if you're not in touch with your emotions right now, you're missing out on tapping into this unlimited source of energy. And I can say this because before I met my wife, I was very emotionally closed. Because I got my heart broken. And I made a promise to myself that I would never feel that way again. And so I closed my heart and I didn't let anyone get close to me again. I let them get close enough so they thought they knew me, but no one ever really got into, I called it my treasure chest, right? This like secret treasure chest that's inside, you know, Pandora's box, where your real deep feelings live. You know the one? Has anyone got one of those hidden deep down, tucked away, no one else knows about, right? I know about it. And the only times I would ever show the contents of my little emotional chest were when I was really wasted with my friends. And that's where I would like tell them how much I loved them, or I would have a cry, or often I would have a breakdown because I didn't know how to handle it, right? And when you're really drunk or something, these emotions often come up, but you don't need to get in that state. One of my favorite things to do now in the whole world is to have a really big cry. I absolutely love it when I have a really big cry. You know those kind of cries where it's like snot dripping all down your face and you're like covered in it? Anyone had one of those really big ones? Absolute favorites. Now I work with a lot of healers, shaman, coaches, and I intentionally work with them to crack me open. So there's always layers, there's always defenses, getting our walls down. Everything in life is a wave. And what I've come to find is that the high on your wave, like the amount of joy you're able to feel, is in direct proportion to the low of your wave. And so when you're able to go really deep into those low vibrational emotions, you know, the sadness, the grief, the upset, when you've really felt that, you're then able to come even higher on the positive, the high vibration emotions, the joy and the love and the ecstasy. But what a lot of people do in our society is they actually medicate themselves. They take antidepressants. And I have a story. I won't say that who they are, but I know someone who, they had a breakup with their boyfriend and they were really upset. And they went to their doctor and they said, look, I'm really upset. Can you give me something? And the doctor said, yeah, you can have these antidepressants. And so she started taking them and she started to feel better. Because what they do, the antidepressants, they release a chemical called serotonin in your brain. And serotonin is one of the chemicals that makes you feel happy. She's now been on them for 3 years. And she says she's never going to come off them. Because she likes how she feels now, which is basically numb. She can't feel the lows because she's always got serotonin going on. But what that also means is it's kind of like caffeine. Is the more you drink caffeine, the more accustomed you get to it and the more you need. So with the antidepressants, when you become so accustomed to serotonin, when you actually experience something where real serotonin gets released, like naturally, it doesn't have a big effect on you. And so your highs aren't really that high and your lows aren't really that low, and your wave is kind of shallower.
Oh,
And I do think there is a place for medication, absolutely, in chronic cases, and it does save lives. But I also think there's a place for us really getting help and doing the deep work to work on our wounds. And as a speaker, this is essential. My wife is also a speaker. She speaks in Parliament. She helps them create bills around ending sexual violence and child abuse. And she's really wonderful at that. And she's been through a lot in her life. And she came and she did a training at one of our events, and she shared something that stuck with me since then. And I want you to write this down. I invite you to. It's that you can only take the audience as deep as you've gone yourself. You can only take your audience as deep as you've gone yourself. So this is important, because if you're too scared to go deep into your wounds and your past and your traumas and your emotions, how can you possibly guide other people in that? If you haven't been there, how can you show someone the way? It's very difficult. You can theoretically show them the way. At university, I studied entrepreneurship, and most of my lecturers had never had a business, but they'd read textbooks. So they taught me that. But how useful do you think that was when I actually came to start my business? Not very. And so you must do this deep work if you want to be a speaker. You have to be able to show your vulnerability. You have to open your heart, let down your walls. And I know that might be the scariest thing in the whole world, but that's what you all signed up for. And whether you just want to be a public speaker for your job or to make better relationships, it's the same. You have to be able to share with people what you really feel. That's what we want, isn't it? Real relationships, deep connections. Don't we all crave intimacy, like real, someone just to really see us and really feel us and to know we're understood? So you have to learn how to cultivate that. Since I opened my chest, my treasure chest, my life is just so much more amazing. I attract real people who actually know me. You know, we all have these subconscious programs. And one of them that I had was that I was unlovable, that nobody loved me. And I realized nobody could love me because nobody knew who I frickin' was. How could they possibly love me when I was pretending? No one actually even knew what was in my heart. So how could, of course I didn't feel loved, because they could only love the little tiny fraction of me that I was showing them. And the rest of it was all bravado and bullshit. and this is how most people are living their lives. And so my invitation to you is to drop the mask, drop the bullshit. Be vulnerable, be real, be brave, share who you really are, and you'll see you'll attract such wonderful people. And some days I'm so deeply affected by the lows that I just don't even get out of bed. And some days I'm so deeply affected by the highs that I feel like I've taken 10 ecstasy tablets and I'm absolutely buzzing and I just can't even sleep. And I also go everywhere in between. And that's all totally okay. And you don't have to pretend to be good all the time. You don't have to pretend to be happy all the time, because it's not real. And maybe your audience might just need to see you be vulnerable for once, and that will be the exact thing that will get them to say yes and come to your seminar. I have not really talked much about my treasure chest in public before. Only in like my retreats and like very deep events. And I'm sure you appreciate what I've shared. And if you don't, that's totally okay too. But I feel some of you might now feel more open to sharing your side of things, which is wonderful. So that's emotional. You don't normally get this in a speaker training, right? But isn't this all really important? It's so nourishing when you're around people who understand you and who can fill you up, fill up your emotional tank. When you have friendships where you can go to them and say, like, I actually feel really low today, can you help me? And they say, what do you need? You'll be like, just give me a hug, give me a massage, take me for a smoothie, let's go to a park. Or you might just say, I don't even know, can you just be with me? Yeah, of course, let's make a little fort out of blankets and pillows. And what's your favorite movie? They're the kind of friends that are so invaluable to me personally. And I hope we become those kind of friends. Some of us, we know each other better than others. I hope we get to know each other more as we go on this crazy journey together, and you come traveling around the world with us and speaking at our events and all over the place. And maybe we'll run some events together, who knows? It's a really, really wonderful path. And we can all help create this more open world. And this brings me nicely onto my fourth point, the fourth foundational pillar of success that is really, really important. Just choosing which color I should do this in.
Red.
So the fourth pillar is what I call your spiritual self. You have to have a strong spiritual foundation. And this applies to you even if you don't believe that you are spiritual. Because for me, every single person I've ever met, even if they don't believe that they are spiritual, is spiritual. Whether you believe in science or Buddha or the tooth fairy, right? Whatever you believe in, you are an energetic being. Spirit is energy. You are made of pure energy. That's just physics. You are made of pure energy. Your essence is eternal. The metals in your body, in your blood, are made from stardust. They used to be stars. They were forged in the heart of a star that died, that exploded, that spewed its guts all over the universe. And then one day that metal found its way into you somehow. You are a timeless being, and you can connect to that infiniteness that you have. The energy that makes you has been around since the beginning of time. After you die, it will go somewhere else. Energy can only be transferred. It can never be destroyed. And you can tap into this. You have access to all of that wisdom. If you do a meditation, you can remember what it felt like to be a star. Because energy holds memories. And when you connect to this larger part of yourself, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it consciousness, you can call it energy, you can call it thought, the one mind, the divine mind, whatever you want to call it. When you connect to this, you have an unlimited source of wisdom and energy that you can tap into. But it also comes with a lot of other benefits. Because once you truly know that you are an infinite being and that nothing can hurt you, once you're really connected to that, I call it your infinite self, fear just evaporates. Doubts evaporate because you know you are an aspect of the divine. And what is there to possibly be afraid of? And so I'd love for us to do a little process now, a little connection journey. And if you'd like to do that, I invite you to join me. And this is going to be a short version of a much longer process that I usually do with my clients. But this will give you everything that you need right now. So if you're ready to do this, please do get yourself nice and comfortable. And I invite you to just start taking some deep breaths into your belly. Nice and slow. I invite you to feel the weight of your feet on the floor, the weight of your body on the chair or the bed or wherever you are right now. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes and breathe deeply. With every breath, just feel more and more connected to your body. Imagine you can breathe all the way down to the very base of your spine. With every single breath, just making you feel more and more connected. I'm just going to use the power of our imagination. Your imagination is a very powerful tool. Your brain and your body, they don't know the difference between something you imagine and something that's real. So when you imagine something happening during this process, if you believe it, it will release all the same things physically, chemically, emotionally, spiritually, as if it really happened. Just like when you have a really vivid dream and you wake up and you're shaking and you're sweating. It's just like it was real. So I invite you now just to imagine yourself as a big oak tree. Imagine the strength that an oak tree has, very old, very wise, deep roots. And just imagine these deep roots coming down into the earth, deep and wide, down through the building, down through the rock, through the mud, all the way down through these layers of this crystal stuff, down even further, all the way to the very center of the earth. Just feel what that feels like to be so grounded and connected to the earth. And imagine now this beam of pure white light coming down from the very center of the universe. This pure source energy, like a column of white light all around you, huge, surrounding you and the whole room that you're in. And this beautiful light is just the energy of pure unconditional love, pure unconditional love energy. And as you're surrounded in this energy, just to breathe it in. And as you breathe this energy in, just feel yourself being filled up with this beautiful light. Just imagine you're being filled up with pure unconditional love with every breath that you take. And as you breathe in, you breathe up this beautiful love energy from the earth. You breathe down this beautiful love energy from the divine, till your whole being is surrounded and filled up with this amazing energy. And you see now, as you take a deep breath in, that this energy from the earth and this energy from the divine, they meet in your heart space. In your heart, they start to form this ball of amazing energy. And as you see this ball just getting more and more solid, more and more intense, you bring your awareness down into this ball of energy in your heart without trying, just very relaxed. As you bring your awareness there, you just feel what it feels like to be truly balanced and connected. Just breathe this feeling in, into your cells, into every cell in your body, into every strand of your DNA. This feeling of being totally connected. And as you take another deep breath in, just imagine now this ball of energy coming from your heart and coming up past your throat, up through your head, up out of the top of your head. See, it starts to go up this column of pure white light. And as this energy that is you, your consciousness now raises up, imagine it coming all the way up through the sky, up out of the earth, up through space, up to the very edge of space. And at the very edge of space, see there's this golden layer. See your energy now just passing through that golden layer. So it comes even further up now. And as it comes even further up, it starts to pass through this jelly-like substance. You see different lights flashing. As it comes even further up, out of the jelly, you see it passing through this pink and blue substance. As it comes even further up, then you see it coming to this most incredible source of pure white light. As you come up to this beautiful source of pure white light, I invite you just to say hello, to say thank you. And imagine this energy that is you now merging with this pure white light, and just feel what that feels like to be completely surrendered into unconditional love. And as you breathe deeply, just breathe down this feeling. This light, this energy source is your infinite self. Your highest self, pure source energy. You have access to this anytime. All you need to do is imagine this connection to the white light, to the pure unconditional love, and bring it down into your body, into your heart. You can ask this light any questions. I personally call this light God or Creator. You can call it whatever you wish. If there's anything you'd like guidance on in your life right now, I encourage you to ask that question and then just listen and trust the first thing that comes through for you. And just know you can speak very directly, have a full two-way conversation. And if you need more specifics, you can ask for them. I often don't take the first answer. I'm very inquisitive. And if you'd like to, you can just thank this energy for always being there for you, and ask it to download into you anything that is in your highest and best right now. And feel this download will happen and activate now. Just say thank you for downloading into me anything that I need right now that is in my highest and best. Just know that there's nothing you need to do. You can feel yourself being energized, activated, awakened. Wonderful. And if you'd like to, you can just let this energy know that you would like to connect more deeply with it. And ask it to show you how you can connect with it. And just trust the first thing that comes up for you. How should you connect with it more deeply? And now we'll just start to come back. We'll allow ourselves to form that ball of energy again, to start to create a boundary of who we are, of our personality, and bring that now down past the blue and the pink, down through the jelly, down through the golden layer, all the way down through space, down through into the earth, and down through the sky, down into your home or wherever you are right now, and down through the top of your head, all the way down into your heart. I invite you to place your hands on your heart and just feel what this feels like. Just relax and enjoy, and if you'd like to, you can ask your body to remember this feeling. And anytime you want to, all you need to do is just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and imagine this feeling again. You can fill yourself up. You have access now to this infinite source of energy. When you're ready, you can say thank you to whoever or whatever you'd like to. And start to slowly wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. And when you're ready, you can take a deep breath, open your eyes, maybe have a nice stretch. Oh. And I'd love to invite you now, without speaking, to just write down anything that came up for you